was so hoping. I let it play till 12:02 because I wanted to replay that Predators, loss with the 49 saves with Renee. And, I'll say this about that game. I mean, first of all, yes, a disappointing end to the Predators season. Yeah, obviously, okay? But what it did do is reinforce Renee as the Predators goalie in 1920, or 2019-20. No, we're not talking about... As Harding and Cox prepared for the presidential election, we will now discuss who should be the Nashville Predators goalie. No, that's not what we're talking about. In 2019-20. Okay, that's... Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, I'm Marky Billson. It's your voice of choice. I guess that's technically... Is that what we're going to be? Are we now so, getting to this era of gender neutrality that people will now be called it? I thought there was going to be a gender-neutral pronoun they tried to get going in the 80s, never took off. It's called co. So instead of he or she, you were supposed to say, it's Co's book, it's Co's pen, it's Co's sports talk show. Well, no, it isn't, because I do it alone. I stand alone on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, where, I own the Tri-Cities. And I train alone, and I work alone. I sound like Mr. T now. Okay. Today's show, best guess, hardest hitting opinions, you know it. 12:30, Caleb Calhoun, allfortennessee.com. He joins me. We'll be talking about, it's time for the Vols off season, but hey, Reggie Cobb passed away. Some people are still upset at Rick Barnes, which is insanity. And as I said, this is... Rick Barnes did a great thing. He allowed you to identify the knowledgeable Vols fan who realizes, yes, when UCLA comes calling, you pick up the call. And really, that knowledgeable Vols fan should be rejoicing. Assuming he likes Rick Barnes, and I don't know why he wouldn't, that Barnes is staying, despite the fact UCLA seemed to have great interest in it. It is the delusional Vols fan, and it's coming down to a point where they're basically shooting the messenger. They're basically saying, oh, there's another program out there better than Tennessee. Well, yes, UCLA is a better basketball program than Tennessee is, okay? In fact, they're probably, certainly historically, better than anybody, because they got the most titles. Tennessee, they're still waiting to go to the Final Four for the first time. So, yes, man puts out the best team they ever had. In my opinion, last year's Vols basketball team was the best Tennessee basketball team of all time. And UCLA takes note, even with Barnes 64 years old. Anyway, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Will any of the Vols get drafted, et cetera, et cetera. At 1 o'clock, I'm talking to Joe Rexrode. Joe Rexrode, who I think is the finest sports columnist in the state, actually 115. He writes for the Tennessean, and he will join me talking about all things Tennessee, or Nashville Predators, as well as NFL Draft, as Nashville prepares to host the NFL Draft. All right. And also, we can discuss the idea that Speedway Motorsports, if we have enough time, might move one of the Bristol races, say the spring race, to Nashville in 5-10 years or whenever. All right. If the attendance continues to be what it is, that might be a case. But the big news in the Tri-Cities is that a week ago it looked like ETSU men's basketball was going to be contending for a national ranking in 1920. No, not the first year. The teachers, that's what they were called back then. And the teachers play in 1920, or was it 21 was their first year? I forget. Anyway. Regardless, in 2019-20, yeah, a week ago it looked like ETSU was probably going to be not only head and shoulders above everybody else as the favorite for the Southern Conference champion, but probably enjoying a year similar to what Wofford had maybe even superior. Should be asking a lot, but because Wofford, of course, went undefeated through the conference and won an NCAA tournament game and were nationally ranked. But I think you could have made an argument last year that ETSU would have been a program that could have been nationally ranked if everybody who was supposed to, and I say supposed to, maybe I shouldn't say that in today's day and age, because of one and done. And the fact of the matter is that are you supposed to play 4 years in college? I mean, think about this. Really? Was Zion Williamson supposed to play 4 years at Duke? Actually, no, he was not supposed to play 4 years at Duke. So why do we say that any college basketball player is supposed to play 4 years at his school? I throw that question out. But it looked like Rodriguez and now M'laden Armus were going to return. And what would then happen? Well, ETSU would have a powerhouse team that could be ranked in the top 25. Instead, their team will now look very similar to the one that lost to Green Bay in the CIT tournament. Because yesterday, M'laden Armus followed Rodriguez out the door, announcing his intention to transfer. I guess it's the transfer portal, but let's face it, you don't put your name in the transfer portal in April unless you're looking to leave. So suddenly, the team that appeared to be the heavy favorite for the SoCon title is now that team that lost to Green Bay, not the team that beat Furman by 23 points just a week after the Paladins were nationally ranked. Now, East Tennessee sports fans love a good conspiracy theory, so I'm going to give you one. And don't tell me you don't. If it's the refs were out to get us for whatever reason, which I hear constantly, and it is ridiculous, poor fandom to do that. Okay. I mean, bad calls are going to happen, but like I said, you blame Sean Payton for running the ball for passing the ball when he should have run on the final series of downs the Saints had in the fourth quarter that would have taken enough time off the clock that the Rams probably would not have come back. Don't blame an official for what ultimately was an incomplete pass. That's a bad thing? Come on. I guess it was under the circumstances for the Saints. Yes, I do understand. For the Rams, it was not. Okay, so we've got that. Anyway, here we go. The thing is, Rodriguez and Armus were the guys that missed the game against Green Bay. And ETSU said they were on concussion protocol. I'm not necessarily buying that. Practices are reportedly closed prior to the game against Green Bay, and even ETSU's own sports information department were not aware that Rodriguez and Armus would miss the Green Bay game, listing them as starters in the pregame notes. What's even more curious is that Armus, supposedly on concussion protocol, was on the floor at the end of the ETSU Wofford Southern Conference semifinal tournament basketball game, the 82-71 victory, the 81-72 victory for the Terriers. So Armus is now leaving with 2 years of eligibility left, which effectively breaks up a championship caliber team, and everybody wants to know why. I'll give you some thoughts. A, could it be that Armus never felt comfortable at ETSU? Look, the man is from Serbia. This is East Tennessee. It's a pretty different culture. East Tennessee is insular. East Tennessee is less than diverse. Even when asking for players to interview after games, ETSU press types seem to discourage, would you like to talk to M'laden Armus? Armus, who's 6'10", would also share playing time with 2 7-footers next season, Octavian Corley and Lucas Gasson. The opportunity to transfer up to a larger program where he could start every game and average more than 24 minutes a game might be appealing, because that's what Armus averaged last year, 29.3 to be exact. And yes, he also started 24 games. Gasson started 10. So, although that's about 3/4 of the Buccaneers' schedule, yeah, there might be a bigger program that would say, yeah, sit out a year and you'll play all the time, 30 minutes and start every game. He's that good. Remember, he was playing over Lucas Gasson. Gasson came to ETSU from Oklahoma State. Now, if you're good enough to play for the Cowboys and you're starting over someone who is good enough to play for the Cowboys, you can probably play in a conference like the Big 12. And again, M'laden Armus maybe doing the Bubba Parham thing and transferring up. Now, there are a lot of winds of change at ETSU. Forbes interviewed at Arkansas. Steve Forbes, the head coach. He'll stay. I think he's going to stay a long time. I think he's getting to the point at an age where major programs don't look at you unless you've done it on a major level before or you're from that area. Brian Nolan may leave to go to Tennessee. Nolan was friendly to athletics, restoring football, making sure the coaches are well paid so the mid-major programs won't pick them off. Now, there are a few exceptions, women's basketball, softball, but the Buccaneers are winners. Now, I don't think really that Armus put his name, there's going to be potentially a new president. I'm going to put my name in the transfer portal. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But what does make a lot of sense is that there are a lot of winds of change at ETSU that might make some, ultimately, especially if you're a bit pessimistic, uncomfortable. Hey, look at even the Southern Conference. There's a new commissioner. The league favorites getting broken up. The leading returning scorer, Bubba Parham of BMI, is transferring out, despite the fact on this show he said that he wouldn't. The gains the conference made last year could very well be eroding. But as far as Jerome Rodriguez, by the way, who can blame him for wanting out? He'd be a graduate by next season, and it would be nice for Rodriguez Armus to return to Johnson City for potentially a team that could compete for a national ranking, but he'd have to do it for free. Do you want to work for free? Yeah. Rodriguez's departure is an argument for the NCAA to pay their college basketball players. It's a real downer for ETSU, but they do have a pair of 7-footers next year, so ETSU does have, they'll have a presence in the paint and enough quality guard play to continue to contend for the SoCon men's basketball championship. Problem is, without Rodriguez and Armus, contending for more than just a SoCon title, which seemed so likely just a week ago, that's probably not going to happen now. I'm Marky, Billson. We're going to talk some Predators. Caleb Calhoun, Joe Rexrode, they're both on the show. Talk to you after this.